what sort of work they go into, because we're still going to always have many of these traditional face-to-face jobs. There are some jobs that you kind of can't replace in a sense, in that regard. However, there's quite a debate about this. I was at a conference recently where we were talking about the generational differences and their expectations and their experiences with technology. And obviously, people of an older generation who are used to relationships in a certain way, perhaps sometimes they find it harder perhaps to transpose that into a more virtual relationship, whereas perhaps people of a younger generation who've been much more used to this, they may not have such a problem with it. Perhaps we will find, who knows, that people coming up through the generations may not have some of the same difficulties that maybe we're having today with virtual working, because they'll be much more used to it, they'll be much more savvy. Having said that, it may create some different types of problems where perhaps people are maybe less careful with how they're using technology because, they're kind of so used to it and kind of so flippant about it that perhaps they don't take enough care, and there may still be misunderstandings, but of a different type. Or maybe they will actually give each other the benefit of the doubt more, and so, perhaps they'll be able to get over some of these misunderstandings and relationship problems more, who knows. However, what we see from things like, in schools now, we do see a bit of cyberbullying going on, so we're still finding that technology is creating this sort of lack of inhibitions in a sense, and we call it de-individuation. It's where you pay less attention to the reactions of the other person because you don't see that reaction anymore, via technology. So people kind of lose their inhibitions and they forget what the reaction is going to be, and they may say very upsetting things. And yet the impact on that individual who's receiving that may be, quite devastating. And certainly we've seen that there's been some quite high-profile cases of cyberbullying. I don't know if you've had the same in Canada, but, some really quite nasty cases that have arisen. So, I think that there could be other problems that could arise, and we still need to be kind of careful about it, I think, in the future. So, people may get more used to it, but I don't think all the problems are going to go away necessarily, and we still need to be kind of careful with how we compose our, messages to each other, be careful not to upset each other and all those sorts of things that we still need to do at the moment. Those things may not go away. So.
Absolutely. Okay, and so the final question I've got for you, Carolyn, and thank you very much for your for participating in the call. But the final thing that I've got today is that the students who are in the course, they're in their 4th year, and at Waterloo we have a 5th year too for a lot of the students because they do co-op. But they're moving to the ends of their degrees and moving on to work or further study. You have spent a few years at least beyond the position you're at just now. Me more than that. So have you got any final words that you'd like to say to them? Perhaps some advice as they go out into the big wide world?
Well, I think, more and more organisations are looking for experience now. And I think whatever experience you can capitalise on, even now in your studies, perhaps during the projects that you do as students, try and make the most of those experiences and think about how you might use those skills when you then go out into work. Because all of those skills are transferable to other things. Try and think laterally, in a sense, about how you might use some of these skills in other contexts. Also, I would say, don't spend too long being too interested in so many different things. Because I think sometimes you do need to sort of think about, okay, there may be 2 things that I'd really like to pursue, so I'll try both of those and see which one comes off, rather than thinking, there's 10 things and I'm just going to send off loads of applications. And you really need to spend time on applications, I think, these days, especially because the job market out there is tough. Really focus on what you want to do and really, focus on a few applications and really go to town on those. Research your organisation, look into, what it is they do, because they love it if you can, tell them about some of the latest stuff they've been doing, etc. But then they see that you're really motivated and you really want to work for them. So I think, spend more time on fewer things, specialise as soon as you can, and grab all the experiences you can now and put those into practice and think about how you can use those in practice later on.
Carolyn, that was great. Thank you very much for talking to the students. I know they'll find it of value.
Good. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, I've stopped the recording now.